Okay, just want to tap in with another video. This is in context to my previous video where I was having some reflections off of a video that I saw of a woman that was commending independent work, and also YouTube or content creation and engaging with social media as a means of emancipation and transcending some of the dynamics of a work setting. And I wanted to talk about that because I had actually experienced the dynamics of work settings that she was referencing for about 2, 3, or 4 years. And then I actually moved into, I had been moonlighting. Moonlighting is when you do something on top of what you do for work to make ends meet, or to put a little off to the side. That's called moonlighting. That refers to like in different times where people would be like in the military and they'd be like part of a base that was like maybe near a civilian area, and then they would do work outside of their military duty to put away money on the side. That's called moonlighting. But I had been doing that like with moonlighting while I was doing different roles as I've been engaging with independent work part of while I was doing other jobs, but also in between different jobs as a means of livelihood. And I saw the strength of that. And sometimes when you see the strength of something, you can't unsee certain things. That goes for things good and bad. So you see a way of doing things that might be better, and it changes you. Seeing yourself doing certain things changes you, and it changes how you engage with other people. So when people throw certain curveballs at you, you may think of yourself differently, but also engage and stick around or not stick around differently based on what you've seen of yourself. So being exposed to like independent work, and then after that, like content creation and creativity, it makes you perceive things differently when people throw different things at you, like leverage, like you do this and that, or else. Well, or else is better than this or that, and I want to work with you, but or else might actually be better than this or that you're telling me about this or that. So I think I'm gonna go do or else right now. And you know, that dynamic, I think that's actually changed a lot of work settings, because that is available to people, and a lot of people are having that experience. There was this thing about like coming out of the pandemic. There's like the great migration or something like that. It's a statistical phenomenon where a lot of people left a lot of jobs right around that time of the pandemic. Something about seeing what it's like to have that much time on your hands, to live at home, to survive away from a job setting for that long as the pandemic. That changed a lot of people's mentalities, myself included. I had been stable at a job for about 6 years before that, and I left during that time where there's like a statistical point where many people left their jobs. It might have been like around 2021 or something like that. But then even after that, I came back into, I still wanted to work as a professional, because I had a skill and a background for transportation, and I also I believe in the future, and I've always wanted to contribute and have a hand in the future, whether or not I get to have a family of my own. I wanted to have a hand in raising what will be here after me, and give the best of what I have to the next generations, because I've come through a lot of hell, frankly speaking, and I think that I've always felt like I had something to contribute because I went through the hell with a modicum. I got that from the TV show Breaking Bad, a modicum of sometimes when people are like trying to explain themselves, like in a situation like where like there's a lot on the line, they'll start trying to talk more professional, more academic to like make their point. So they're doing that in that show, Breaking Bad. At one point they were like arguing with like a shop owner about something, a modicum of such and such. But I had a modicum of character and uprightness as I went through some very difficult stuff, so I thought that I could give back with that. But then when I was in these professional settings, there'd be some people there, like some of the old school, some people with some seasoning. They're like, yeah, you know, these jobs ain't no good, man. You gotta have something on the side, man. You need to check out this and that gig thing, man. Because you like to drive, right? You enjoy driving, man. You need to check this thing out, man. Because these jobs, they can be bad news at a certain point. In that very job, I wasn't rocking with him when he said that, because I appreciated that job. But I started to get micromanaged a little bit, and I started to get some attitudes for sometimes you rely on people in your jobs, like your superiors, for especially like as a driver, you rely on the oversight and the authority, and also the license of the people who are giving you your orders, because you're actually you're somewhat, you think you're yourself as covered under their authority, because, well, if so and so said to do it, then it must be okay to do it. I've experienced that that's not always the case, because they can give you something as a professional with liability on your hands, with responsibility on your hands. You're still the last point, you're the last line of defense for yourself and anyone in your care. So if you get something that's nonsensical enough, it can still be dangerous to yourself and someone you're caring for, if it's not appropriate or not sensible enough. It can still be. So we think of ourselves as being protected by these different things, like the authority in general. We normally think we're protected by authority, but I would beg to differ. If authority protects us, if anything, authority will hold us to account, but I don't know that authority protects us. I've been at different points in life where I had some real trouble on my hands, and I was like, I was needing, it was more trouble than I could handle as a civilian, within my rights as a civilian. And when I needed help with something, I found out quickly that I'm on my own out here. No different than in nature. A man in nature has to account for himself. We're still in nature. A man in nature still has to account for himself. So the authorities, they'll show up to like do paperwork and hold your ass accountable if you had made a mistake, but they're not necessarily showing up on the hill. The cavalry's not showing up on the hill to have our back, unless there's money on the table for them, or there's interest for them. But just as a regular plain Jane, or a regular non-GI Joe, but still Joe, we're just more so getting held to account and have we're getting reviewed by the authorities, but we're not getting assisted by the authorities. And that was my experience in professional settings. So that man had put me on to different ways of surviving while I still had the footing of a job. But then I started to experience some of the micromanaging and the difficulties of a job, even while we're bringing our best and doing our best. And so I landed into the different work. But all I meant to say is that anywhere you go, there are cycles at play. So if you can think about like going to a city, let's say you go traveling to a city, like in your state or in another state or in another country, you start to get, say you're driving into another state and you start to get into the city zone, the city area. You're not in the city proper, but you're in the general area, the metro area of a city. And you can feel the pace of it. It feels kind of cool. It's kind of awesome, actually. It's like, wow, this is real life. I remember that as a child, driving into the cities where I'm at now, from a different area. I was at a cool area, a beautiful area, an enchanting area, where I came from. But when I got to this area, I was impressed, because they actually had their own sports team, and I was all about basketball, and we didn't have a sports team where I was coming from that was professional. So I get into the big city, and it's like, wow, the cars are moving fast. People, they got a place to be, they got places to go, people to see, and they drive like it and they mean like it. But or sometimes you get away from that and you get to a little bit slower pace, and you can feel that right as you get into a place. And that's part of the fun about traveling. But what's significant about that is you might not appreciate how profound that is. You are entering the cycles that are at play in that area, the lifestyles, the living, the history, the attitudes, the personalities, the business dealings, the good deals, the bad deals. All of that is at play as the frequency and the dynamics in the cycles of that area. But it's the same with the neighborhood. So I've done that professional work in some areas that have strong reputations where I'm at, in the metropolitan area where I'm at. I've been in at least maybe four areas, zones that have their own not independent, but their own interdependent history and rep. And some of that it's a real rep, in that whether people like that area or not, they know what that area means when they hear that rep. And I actually met someone like that from in a different area, from one of these areas. And I was like, he said he was from there, born and raised. And I was like, dang, you didn't even bat an eye when you said that. He's like, people are always saying this and that about where I grew up at. But what he was basically saying is that he loved people there. He loves that place there. That's his neighborhood. That's his community where he grew up at. And he never had a problem there that was too much for him, or that he never had a problem living somewhere, because he wasn't about hurting anyone or out to get anyone. And that's true enough. But still, when you're in any area, there's cycles that are at play. So like when I was a professional, I'm getting a little bit past what I can convey in this video. But all I meant to say is that you have cycles at play anywhere that are real, that are both from who are living and non-living. And so as you engage an area, it may have a reputation, and that you may be okay to be somewhere not meaning anything against anyone, but the cycles in the history are still at play there. That's the same with the job or community, and we really can't get away from that. All we can do is be honest and be the best we can as people, and do upright things, and then we can survive. But the cycles are at play anywhere, anyhow, and they're serious.